Hello YouTubers, I'm Tom in the beautiful city of Chicago, and this series of videos will go over installing a crankshaft and putting the motor back in the Jetski and hooking everything up. That includes the carburetors, exhaust, oil injectors, all that kind of stuff. Little story of what happened is I was out on Lake Michigan blasting along, having a great time, came to a complete stop. Everything went out. Couldn't get it started. And I was a quarter mile offshore and a little concerned about how I'm going to get in. But I had my buddy Wilson here, and I was able to paddle to the seawall, drag the jet ski along the seawall, get it into the 31st harbor, and then put it on the trailer, get it back home. I pulled the engine and ripped it all apart to find the problem. So we're not going to go over disassembly at all in this video. There's one thing we do need for this series is the service manual. I bought the service manual. You can download it as a PDF off the internet. It's got all your torques, Loctite, what Loctites to use, lubricants, assembly procedures, so on and so forth. So this is critical to have. Without this, we couldn't do this job. A little story about this ski. It's an XLT1200 03 Yamaha. I named it Big Blue, and I'm wondering if Big Blue is going to run again. It's in pretty good shape. It's nice and clean. This ski has over 400 hours, and I've enjoyed it over the years, and I bought it new, and it's been a great machine. So I want to save it. Now, there is one thing got to get out of the way, and that is I'm not sponsored or affiliated with anybody. You'll hear about Yamaha and SBT Performance. There's no connection between me and them. So, with that being said, let's take a look at the bilge, empty motor, and empty bilge, excuse me. And then we'll get on with going over the failure. I want to show you the failure and some of the parts that I'm going to replace, like the cylinders and pistons. So let's take a look inside the jet ski. And as you can see, there really is nothing in there. Here you have your oil injectors. Right here is our connection to the jet pump. It's a coupler right there. There's the rubber part, but it is empty. So we're going to get this motor put back together, and then we're going to lower it in and put on the exhaust and all the other stuff. But before we do that, I just wanted to go over a couple things here, or one thing. And right over there, you're going to be seeing that a lot. That is a urinal. It's hooked up to the city water. See, this garage was built back in 1924, and it was built for your Model T Ford or your horse. And there was a water trough over here. Also, they had the nice windows so the horse could stick his head out, and they planked it so the horse could rub his butt on the planks and wouldn't damage the 2x4s or studs. But with that being said, I think we should get to work on this, and let's start. Thanks much. Here's the component that failed. What happened is the #1 piston journal, it broke, and as you can see, this is a very hefty piece of metal. The piston rod goes around it, and then the piston's right on top, just like this one, and it presses down and stuff like that. I was looking at just replacing this piece, and this is called a pork chop, and Yamaha sells these individually. There's something like $100 and some odd, and I was thinking about buying just this piece and then pressing it all back together. The only issue I came up with on that is you know, I have the 10-ton press to press it together, is making a jig to get the phasing between the cylinders correct. See, if if you look at this one and call this one 0, all right, 0 degrees, then this one over here is 120 degrees out of phase. And then this one over here, number 1, would be 240 degrees out of phase. I believe it would be down here somewhere around there. So I would have to get that phasing correct. Otherwise, if you don't get the phasing correct, your top dead center won't be right. The spark will fire off when the piston is not in the proper position, and you'll have lots of problems. That could lead to a lot of big failures. So I said, no, I'm not gonna just buy the pork chop and fix it. I went up on eBay, took a look at some used ones. They look pretty good to me, but as you know, looking at a picture, I was wondering, is the phasing correct on it? As these things age, like I said, they can slip because they're just pressed on. It's not a forged piece. So the other problem with it is it's not balanced, it's not guaranteed. Just didn't feel comfortable buying a used crankshaft out on the internet. So I found another solution. And I went to SBT Performance, and I am not affiliated with them. They are not sponsoring me. I just bought this from them because it was a good price and I thought it was a good deal. And I got to get it in the center there. What this is it's a remanufactured crankshaft. They basically take these components, refurb them, and then press them back together. But the big difference with this crankshaft is they, with these pressed on parts, they weld it. I'll show you if you can see that. I'm wondering, yeah, they weld these. So the phasing, this thing's locked in. It's not gonna move. What I fear when you just press the thing in, it does shift, and you know, like I said, your top dead center, when your piston's all the way up, is gonna be at the right time, and you'll have all sorts of problems. That's a really big issue. Excuse me. The other thing that I liked about them is that they said they trued it so that this is spinning true and things like that. And they also balanced it. Now, I don't see any drill marks on the pork chops that would indicate balancing, but I believe they balanced it somehow. Maybe they cut off a little bit on this, shaved it off here or whatever. But it looks like a good crankshaft. And it was reasonably priced. It was only like $585, and shipping was cheap, so I kind of went with it. Now, Yamaha does offer this crankshaft as a piece of complete assembly, all ready to go. It costs anywhere between $1,100 and $1,400. I thought that was a little too much for this ski. It's a 03. I'm really not, I really don't want to put a lot of money into it like that. So this is a good alternative for fixing this problem. Now this is a core, and I'll have to send that back, and then I'll throw this one in here shortly. While I had the ski apart and the motor all ripped up in pieces and things like that, I was contemplating, and I decided to replace all my cylinders and pistons. Initially, I thought that I would just replace the pistons and then hone my cylinders. And you can see with the piston, I have a piston here, a good example. There's a lot of scuffing on the side. It goes all the way through the rings. And I felt like, hey, I should replace this. It will fail down the road, and I just don't want to rip the engine apart again, you know, when I do all this work. So I was just going to do the pistons initially. I honed the cylinders, but in the cylinders, after honing, I can still catch my nail on some score marks. Kind of find them here. They're hard to see. They're almost gonna be impossible for you to see. Maybe some of these will show up down here and here. I can feel them. Yeah, right here. I don't know if you can see that. See those score marks? But each cylinder had, all three of them had some kind of score marks. I was a little concerned about putting them back in, even with new pistons. So I went with a new set from SPT, and again, I'm not affiliated, they're not sponsoring me. Comes with 3 pistons, the pin, some retaining rings, piston rings, and a complete gasket set, which is really nice because this is a lot of money for all those gaskets, head gaskets, exhaust gaskets, intake manifold gaskets, so on and so forth. Now the thing about this set is it's a little different from the manufacturers. These are steel inserts. They're steel sleeves that they press in, and you can see it, but I don't get the glare in there. Very magnetic. You kind of can see it's magnetic. But it's just a steel sleeve. It's honed. It's the exact same dimensions as the stock one, and it will work fine. The stock pistons are they're all aluminum, and then they're plated out with Nickel. That's silicon nickel that they plate here. Now, there's a big discussion up on the web about Nickel. You know, is it better than steel, or, you know, should you use Nickel and never use steel? Things like that. That conversation goes on and on and on. Now, there are some properties of Nickel that are nice and better. It is a harder surface. It wears nice. It holds up and it wears nicer. It retains oil better. Transfers heat out of the cylinder and into the cylinder wall better. The guys say that for high revving machines, this is the stuff to use. This particular machine revs out at 7,100 or 7,000 RPMs. I detuned it a little bit. I rinsed up my fuel mixture, so I only get like 6,800 RPM out of it. So, you know, a lot of the properties in Nickel, I don't think I'll be needing on this ski. The steel will do the trick, and the reason why I went with the steel is because of cost. I mean, Nickel is an expensive thing. 3 of these is twice what this is without the gaskets. So I just had to go with the steel sleeves, steel sleeve cylinders, and I think they will work pretty good. Now, like I said, the cost was the big thing, and you know, if I get another 100 hours out of this ski, I'll be happy. So I didn't really want to spend all the money for Nickel, which it's nice, and if I was racing this thing, I might consider it because it wears better. It's a higher revving, better for high revs, things like that. But the steel will do for me because this is going to be a recreational ski, and I don't see any other issues that would stop me from using steel. Okay, we've gone over the parts we're going to replace for this build, and the next video will be putting the crankshaft in the bottom end. It will take a little bit. I have to divide these up into 15-minute chunks. So the next part will be crankshaft installation. If you like this video, please give me a like and subscribe to the channel. We will be having more videos about maintenance and repairing things and a little riding, but please subscribe to get all the latest and greatest. Thanks much.